a jacket on. I think I put my daughter's in and I had it, I had to, and so I put my blazer on. And
You're colorful, man.
oh, you'd appreciate I didn't have the shirt on. I didn't have on one because my daughter's sick.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good enough. They don't have, I'm not going to pay some schools $4,000.
We did not have somebody trained in Orton. My daughter needed Orton. Where there was Orton. Now you do.
The house thing.
And be healthy. Yeah. I have a recording meeting, especially
That's the other.
that's the same meeting.
3 years.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
We never had that house thing.
We always have fun. Always fun to have community members here, especially the kids. Not that the adults aren't important, but the kids. Always fun to have them here. We'll get to them in a minute. But thank you all for coming. We will start by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance together. We'll have the kids from East go ahead and get us started.
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Okay. Call the roll.
Mr. McMath,
Here.
Mr. Galantine,
Here.
Mr. Ricklick,
Present.
Mrs. Schrock. Here. Mrs. Fontana. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, so for the agenda, I need to make a motion to move item 12, executive session, to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee to right after the treasury report number 7.
Second.
You made the motion, yeah. You made the motion.
Any issues with that?
No.
Call the roll on that.
Mr. McMath,
Yes?
Mr. Ricklick,
Yes.
Mr. Galantine,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock,
Yes.
Ms. Fontana.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now I need a motion to approve the agenda with that change.
Move.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Mr. Galantine,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock,
Yes.
Mr. McMath,
Yes.
Mr. Ricklick,
Yes.
Ms. Fontana.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting dated April 17th, 2024.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, changes to those? Call the roll?
Mrs. Schrock,
Yes.
Ms. Fontana.
Yes.
Mr. McMath,
Yes.
Mr. Galantine,
Yes.
Mr. Ricklick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I forgot to read our mission statement, so I'll do that real quick before we go on to the next thing. New Philadelphia City Schools will provide all students the opportunity to achieve their highest potential to become educated, self-sufficient, and responsible citizens. We are committed to providing every student a diverse, quality education within a safe and secure environment through a dedicated, innovative, and highly qualified staff in partnership with parents and the community at large. So in light of that, every month the best part of our meeting is to spotlight our buildings and the administrators and teachers, and most importantly, the kids, the students that are in them. And so this month, our building spotlight is East Elementary. So Mr. Holmes, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Brought quite a crew from East tonight. I think just about everybody here is from East. So very excited to be here to showcase kind of some of the great things our kids do at East. Tonight I brought Mrs. Fowler and Mrs. Candle. Mrs. Fowler is our art teacher. Mrs. Candle is our music teacher at East, and they teach all kids in kindergarten, first and second grade. So they were gracious enough to come and do some fun things that they do in the classroom and kind of bring them to the board meeting tonight. As I was thinking about, what I wanted to do for the board meeting, we always get to see what our amazing students are doing in the high school, the marching band, the Delphian chorale. They get to go sing on stage before. That's amazing stuff. We always get to see that. I kind of wanted to bring these younger kids up here so that you could kind of see where it starts. And I think it's really great to highlight the work that our special teachers do, especially Mrs. Fowler and Mrs. Candle in the art and music department. So I'm going to have Mrs. Fowler come up first with a few of her students, and then Mrs. Candle will take over with a big group and show you some of the great things they do in class at East.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Fowler, and I teach art for K-1-2, and I have been teaching a choice-based art curriculum for about 2 years now. So choice-based is teaching for artistic behavior, and that involves teachers setting up their classrooms like artist studios with materials, equipment, and resources available at multiple studio centers, such as drawing, painting, collage, play, or other mediums. And this allows student learning to be personalized by their choice of content and by the medium based on their interests. So how does this work? It begins with selecting the content, and the students do group brainstorming with me. So I give them a theme. In this case, it was light and dark. And we talk about what could that look like? How could you display lightness and darkness? And then they go and they do some rough drafting, and they do two practice ideas. They do two practice ideas of a light and dark project. And then they select their favorite of those two ideas, and that's what they're going to use for their good artwork project. Go ahead. So here is inside my classroom of first graders. And this is what the art centers look like. Now, I'm a traveling art teacher, so I had to develop this for how it would work in my teaching environments because I don't have a permanent art room. So at East, the tables are set up with up to 4 different art centers. And pictured here, there are 3 art centers all working simultaneously with completely different art tools. And they're all working independently without me having to guide them through anything. So go ahead. So how do they select the art centers? The tables are set up with different tools. The tools are introduced on previous projects during a skill building project. And then they're invited to select a center in random order, and that will be their center for the remainder of that project. The students then take responsibility for all of the care of the tools and cleanup. Part of the privilege of doing this kind of a setup is that the students have to be more responsible for the tools that they're using. So they have to help set everything up. They're responsible for taking care of the tools while they're using them, and they're also responsible for cleaning up their centers, because I can't clean up 3 or 4 different centers. They're always ready to accept this challenge. I love it. So here is a close-up of the tables in that classroom that you saw of all of them working independently. All the way on the left, you can see they're working with colored Sharpies, and colored pencils independently. In the center, they're working with tempera paints on their own. And those paints were not fresh. They had been used by other classes, so they're making sure not to mix the colors in the paint trays. And then on the far right, they're using regular crayons and then special construction paper crayons on the correct side of their papers on the black and white paper to create their light and dark. This is done with kindergarten, as you can see here, all the way through 2nd grade. I do scaffold how the centers are set up and some different tools, but they are set up and they are working independently with Sharpies from kindergarten all the way through 2nd grade with paint on their own. And just another close-up of a kindergarten class, also independently utilizing the 3 different centers. So with each choice project, I kind of switch up, but that was this choice project. So this brings us to our first guest star here. This is Olivia. She is a 1st grade student in Mrs. McCurry's classroom, and she selected the colored Sharpies and colored pencils center. So Olivia, my questions for you are, what was your light and what was your dark? So her light was a cookie in a cookie jar. And what was your dark? A cupcake. And then why did you pick the colored pencils and colored Sharpies? She thought that they would make her picture look beautiful, and she was right. My next guest star is Lincoln. His picture is over here. He's a first grader in Mrs. Traxler's classroom. He also selected colored Sharpies and colored pencils. Lincoln, why did you, can you tell me what your light is? Having ice cream on a Sunday. And what's your dark? He's walking back home on a windy day, and his ice cream melted. That's pretty dark, isn't it? Lincoln,
really
why did you pick the colored Sharpies and colored pencils instead of all the other centers? They look more. So that was all their choice. Thank you, Lincoln. You did great. All right, next we have Samson. Oh my gosh, it's almost your turn. Samson is in kindergarten with Mrs. Johnson. He picked the black and white paper with the construction paper crayons and the regular crayons. Samson, why did you, what is your light and your dark, Samson? There's a pizza and a rainbow for his light. And Luigi is the dark. And Samson, why did you pick the crayon center? Because what? You thought they were realistic. He also said that you wanted to use special crayons. You thought they were cool.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, William, come on up here. Yes, William. He is also in kindergarten with Mrs. Johnson, and he also picked the black and white paper with the construction paper crayons. William, what was your light? Happy sun, pizza, and a rainbow. And what was your dark? Smell like cupcake in a storm. Do you remember what I said with your cupcake?
Smell like.
You said because cupcakes make him want to throw up. William, why did you pick the special crayon center? You said it was different from all the other centers. Awesome choice. All right, our next guest star is Solera. And Solera is in kindergarten with Mrs. Hughes. She's in Mrs. Hughes' classroom. She also picked the black and white paper with construction paper crayons. Solera, what's your light? So she's on her bed, and there's a cat under her bed. And what's that big thing up there? That's the light. And then what's your dark, Solera? So she said there's a spider now instead of a light, and the little girl's now crying because it's a monster.
Oh, yeah.
I know. So, Solera, why did you pick that center? She thought it would look cool, and it does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and our last star that is with us tonight is Kate. See your beautiful face. Kate is in Mrs. Jones' kindergarten class, and she also picked the awesome construction paper crayons. Kate, what is your light, honey? Kate's light is a rainbow with a cookie, and her dark is a night sky with a moon and a cookie with a bite out of it. And she picked these tools because she thinks she liked the special crayons because they look cooler on the black paper.
Yeah.
So that's just a little snippet of what we do in Choice Space Art, and I thank you all for your attention and our awesome artists who love sharing what they do with you.
Good job, everybody. It's great.
Come on, Mrs.
You know you might play up your dad.
Let me play any music instrument.
No.
We're saying.
No, I can't either. It can't be that bad. I wasn't your music teacher.
Music, I know I can't do that either. Huh?
Say,
I'm bigger music. We always need more cowbell.
musically, that's the worst singer you could ever be. My kindergarten teacher told me not to sing, just move my lips.
Oh, I'll do karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Do karaoke with you.
I've never seen that.
Can't sing a note.
Well, I love singing.
Okay.
There.
Evening. I think I'll talk before I have the kids come up, so I think it'll just work better that way. I taught them a game called Lemonade, and you probably remember it from the playground. The second graders, they do it like this. They reverse their hands this way, and that is not something our kids that are in kindergarten and first grade can typically do. So we changed it, and they do high tens, and then they clap to themselves. So it works way better that way, but that's also a good way for them to include. Sometimes you have groups of 3 or somebody who's just afraid to join a group, so they have a signal. They just walk up to a group like this, and that means open up and let them in. So a big part of this activity is inclusivity, trying to make sure everyone has a space and they feel comfortable, because if you're brave enough to ask to join a group, you should be allowed in. We work really hard on steady beat. You know, in music, that's a big thing. If you listen to anybody, remember Bandstand, when they would interview people, what'd you like about that song? Had a steady beat. That's all they ever said. So steady beat is something we worked on really hard in this. And if you can't keep a steady beat and you're doing something with a group, it can throw everyone off. When they tap hands together, you'll see they all are keeping that steady beat together. So it's really, really important to be able to do that with a group. As we progressed through this, we did it differently every time. Sometimes we played instruments, sometimes we would scramble, and their groups would be different. I wanted them to be a whole group, a giant circle, or groups of 2 or 7 or 10. I just think it's important to be flexible, so we teach that too. And this can it can evolve, and then the kids can compose themselves. They can come up with their own rhythms, and it's a fun activity. But I don't want them to know they're learning. That's my biggest goal. I just want them to have fun, and playground games are a thing of the past too. When they have days when it's been raining and they're not allowed to be in the field or on the equipment, it's just a blacktop only, this is something they can do safely and have some fun. Friends, come on up. We're going to make 3 circles.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, right. Fired up.
I think I need to don't get dizzy. You can come up. You can come up. Make a circle. Let's make a circle here and a circle here.
The little bell bottom.
Can I borrow a couple of you over here? This guy being a beautiful girl.
See her little bell bottoms.
Everybody ready? Remember, get your instrument on there. Go another slide. This form is called Rondo. They keep bringing it back around to A. We call it our secret formula. And we keep going back to the lemonade. You'll see them stop and do a little chant and play their instruments. Are you ready? Lemonade, ready, go.
Lemonade, flashing lights. Sit it once, sit it twice. Lemonade, crunchy rice. Sip it once, sip it twice. Turn around, touch the ground.
Coffee, tea, coffee, tea. Everybody have something? 1, 2, 1, 2. Ready 4 times. Now lemonade, hands up. 1, 2. Lemonade, ready, go.
Lemonade, it once, skip it twice. Lemonade, tortillas, skip it once, skip it twice. Turn around, skip it
Please finish. 7-Up Prime. One. Tell who picked that one. 1, 2, 7-Up. Ready, go. Stop. Hands down. Hands up for lemonade. 1, 2. Lemonade. Ready, go.
tortillas, skip it once, skip it twice. Lemonade, tortillas, skip it once, skip it twice. Turn around, skip it.
2, 1. Milkshake water. Milkshake water. Ready, go. It's last time. 1, 2, ready, go.
Lemonade, tortillas, skip it once, skip it twice. Lemonade, tortillas, skip it once, skip it twice.
Freeze. Good job, my friend. That's lemonade. Put your stuff back in your bags. You guys have the big Quaker bag and you have the polka dot one. I know, that's a you.
If it once, it's twice. Yeah, get ready for executive session. We're gonna find this out. Team building. Thank you, Mrs. Candle.
You can throw them right in there. Good job. Thank you so much.
And funny, nice job. One more year of school and then she'll be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming tonight, Mr. Holmes, Ms. Candle, Mrs. Fowler, thank you so much. Kids, awesome job, well done. You are most welcome to stay for the rest of our fun, enjoying meeting. But if you do not want to, this would be a great time to slip out the door.
Yeah. Say bye to Bella. Good job. You have a good summer. See you.
Hey, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Olivia, I loved your painting so much. That was very cool. Very cool. Yeah. See you, Millers. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is great. Thank you. Thanks for coming. You guys did awesome. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming.
Private slide.
Yeah. Coach, bye, coach. Yes, yeah. Oh, is he at T-ball tomorrow?
He's now on New Philly team.
Oh, so nice. So nice. We talked
I
about
went,
that.
I went after a game and I was talking to Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Great job. Yeah. Bye-bye.
It's really good instruction. I was like, okay, I'll be
Do that stuff, yeah. I'm like, we'll see. This is your last volleyball next year. Quaker softball, baby.
Yes.
Like,
That's it. So he's loving it.
oh, good. See you later.
Okay,
Chips.
that was awesome.
I love it. Lemonade. Sorry. I know. Bust that later. I'm just saying. Sorry, Joel.
All right, we do not have any public participation for this evening, so we will turn it over to Mrs. Irwin for Treasurer's Report.
And I'm going to start with the 5-year forecast presentation, which each of you have. And there's forecasts up on the table. If anybody. I know it's.
I got it right here.
So I'm going to start with just our revenues. We have in the revenue column, if you remember, I'm just gonna refresh you, your actual columns are 21, 22, and 23. We're in fiscal year 24, so I'm actually forecasting 2024 to 2028. And if you notice, the first line in general property tax revenues, our revenues went up about $260,000 in property taxes. Again, that's that increase that the public felt in their real estate taxes. It would have been more if we weren't at the 20 mil floor. So House Bill 920 kind of stopped some of the increase for us. If you notice in 2025, 2026 and beyond, we're going to increase even more. Those increases are based on what we think are going to be our new construction in the area, and projected new construction mostly. And then in 2028, if you look at the 15,566,000, that is less than 27. The reason that's less, at that time we will have a levy on the ballot. That's our next levy for renewal. Tangible personal property taxes follow our real estate taxes. The other line item that follows real estate taxes are our state shared property taxes. So the state pays a portion of property taxes to us based on collections. And then finally, the last thing I want to highlight on revenues is the unrestricted grants and aids. Those are the state monies that come from ODE. If you notice, we're increasing from 23 to 24 by $1 million, about $1,020,000. That amount that we're increasing is due to House Bill 110 that was passed this year, and they increased the per student revenue from $7,000 to $8,000. So we got an additional money per student. Interestingly enough, New Philly is on a the state funded portion of our revenue is also, we also have to take into account the property taxes that we receive. And so we're almost a clean split 50-50 of state funded monies and property taxes. Moving down, you'll notice we have a proceeds from sale of note of $2 million. That was that tax anticipation note we took out to get through while we were waiting on our tax revenue to come in. And then I'm going to move on to expenditures unless anybody has any questions. Can you move down just a little bit, please? Yep, right there. Perfect. So our personal services, in 2023, we had $19 million in salaries. 2024, we're going to land right around $20,185,000. In 2025, based on our negotiated agreements, everybody gets an increase of 2.75%. So 2025 is going to be at $21 million. This increase at 2.75% is our last known increase for negotiated agreements. So in 26 and beyond, what I've forecasted is 2% increases because it's an unknown. And it doesn't make sense not to increase, not to project anything. We need to be prepared. So there's a 2% on that. Our employees' retirement and insurance benefits, that includes our health insurance. Health insurance this year for 2025 is going to increase by 13%. This is the largest increase we've experienced since I've been here. It's typical of what's happening throughout school districts. Just one example is the Stark County COG. Typically has 2 premium holidays a year. That's where they don't make their staff pay their premiums. That equates to about 8% for them. And they're also increasing 8%. So the COG is taking a 16% increase. So we're fortunate we don't have more increases. And the health insurance company is still calling this COVID snapback. Because what we're experiencing is where during COVID, people didn't want to go to the doctor. And now everybody's headed back to the doctor, we're getting knee replacements and all those elective things where we have more things going on with people. So our increases are largely due to our claims increases. Our purchase services are going to remain pretty steady for the entire forecast. And our supplies and materials, I haven't forecasted much of an increase. There is a slight increase on the supplies and materials, and that's curriculum. So we have paid for additional curriculum. The science of, we've got science of reading coming up, and math coming up. The other thing I should say in personal services in 2025, the science of reading ODE is providing the district $1,200 per teacher and $400 per teacher based on what they have to take in professional development. So I have planned and included that in my 2025 numbers. They also will pay us the revenue that comes with that, so that's also in the revenue. And lastly, if you notice interest in fiscal charges, that line item, I'd like to point that out. It's right now kind of steady. However, our interest is starting to come back. And so we expect to have more interest on our accounts. If you'll scroll down just a little more.
Julie.
And I am making this fairly quick. Yes.
Okay, so the 25, the 2, and the 2 million, that's showing the note being paid back?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, there's a line item you'll notice in revenue for 2 million. And then in April, we paid back that 2 million. So we didn't have it open very long. That's why you see it in both expenditures and revenue. Finishing up the forecast, what you'll notice is we expect this year to land at $2,225,000 for a balance to carry over. Keeping in mind this is general fund money. We have a larger balance than that, but this is just general fund forecast, only includes general fund. And as we go through the 5-year forecast, will decrease in cash balances. That's forecasted that way. We do have one bus planned out of the general fund each year. We purchased 2 buses. The other bus comes out of our PI funds. So we expect to end the 5-year forecast at $500,000. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Is 28, is that number reflecting without the levy?
If you look at line 11.02, you find that on the $1,470,000 is the renewal of that levy. So $504,000 is the expectation for the levy to pass. If that levy wouldn't pass, we would be negative 966,573.
Okay.
And in this district, we haven't had much trouble renewing levies. And we have 2 emergency levies. This is one of the 2 emergency levies at $3 million. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay.
Done for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
The insurance company are claiming COVID snapback.
Okay, so going back down through my section,
Yeah,
you have the financial statements, the key indicator, the cash flow, and the check register, the bank reconciliation. All of those balances are in balance. We have an FMLA for Jillian Lundberg beginning approximately August 16th. And then we have some donations that we're accepting, and we will be sending thank yous on behalf of the board. We have a couple amended appropriations. Right now we're winding up down the year, and so we have some of our budgets had to be increased, which means our certificates also have to be increased. I'm asking you to approve the 5-year forecast. And then item K is the ELP resolution for the OFCC construction project. L is the acceptance of the master facilities plan. M is the intent for the resolution of intent for the expedited local partnership program. And N is the project agreement. All four, K through N, have to do with OFCC and approving, accepting, going to the expedited local partnership program.
Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Julie, just a point of clarification, by accepting this OPA agreement now, that does lock in the state share at 56%, correct?
Yes, it does.
We're locked in as of this vote.
Pretty good deal.
And that would be, they review those again in September. So.
But we have locked in.
But
We're locked.
We're locked in. Unless a bond would pass.
Yep.
And then it's renewed. It's up for renew, like they can review it?
We have a time frame.
3 bites at the apple.
Okay.
So this is going to be locked, and we can go back to the ballot at least 3 times.
Okay,
And then after that, we are done.
great. Okay. At that lock-in. Yeah, okay. Anything else?
What if the state, they probably wouldn't, but let's say they came back and said instead of 56, we were at 62%. We're locked in at this, can we're quote unquote stuck with 56. But it also protects us in case it would drop down to 45.
Okay.
And I believe it's projected to drop down.
It is.
Yeah.
56 is pretty,
Yeah, I just wanted to
Pretty good,
clarify.
yeah.
56 is about as high as it's been over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
it's higher than the previous attempt. Slightly. Okay. Anything else? Call the roll?
Mr. Rickwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Matt, I just want to make you aware of technical side of doing it in the middle, since we don't have someone here. We cannot stop the stream, so we need to exit the room.
Yeah, we'll go to the-
But the stream will continue to run.
Okay.
They can't stop it. So make sure you, thank you.
I have a motion to enter executive session to consider the employment and compensation of a public employee.
Motion.
Second.
Those are the wrong names.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Call the roll on that.
Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Mr. Rickwick?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock?
Yes.
Motion carries. We
Okay.
are in executive session.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move into the boardroom for our executive session. We'll be back. Okay. Personnel.
Want to start with a resolution to non-renew a non-teaching employee, Mr. Jack Gordon, when his contract expires at the end of June.
Do I have a motion to accept the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any further statements or questions? Call the roll.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mr. Rickwick?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Ms. Schrock?
Yes.
Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to move on. We have one more retirement that we just received. Mr. Mark Cunningham is going to be retiring from his position as a paraprofessional at South. Several other resignations, teachers and staff members who are moving on, in some cases, to other positions within the district. Hiring some new classified staff, a new district daily sub. Would like to recommend the hire of Lisa Host as West Elementary principal, pending full licensure. We're waiting on some paperwork to come back. Some additional classified positions, including some secretarial positions at buildings. We have some of our longtime employees who I'm recommending for those positions. And then when you flip the page, we've got a list of classified contracts to renew. 2 additional teachers, 2 new teachers that we are hiring, are recommending for hire for next year, and pages and pages of supplementals. Page and a half that includes most of our coaches and a lot of our activities. There's a correction. We had the wrong salary indicated for our summer school administrators. The $3,000 is actually the same amount that they were paid last year. So it was put on an error previously. Also hiring our summer school classified staff, summer school teachers, custodial help, one more new substitute, which we are always glad to have join us, and approve the volunteers. So there's a long list of personnel items.
I will make a motion to approve these hires.
Second.
I don't know who said it first. We'll go with Jen Sherrock a second. Any comments, questions?
Just want to say Lisa has been with us for 17 years, so we are promoting from within. She spent her entire teaching career at West Elementary in 4th grade. And so becoming the principal at West Elementary seems very fitting. So clear winner in the application or in the interview process, which involved multiple principals and other staff members.
Cheese Bullet, remember when I went on my building tour and we stopped in Mrs. Wade's class and the student, we said, you know, what's your favorite thing? He said, Mrs. Wade and Mrs. Host.
Anything else? Call the roll.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mr. Ricklick?
Yes.
Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
You're ready for Ben Schrock next year.
She's now the best principal in the room.
Oh.
Ouch.
When's Jeff up for review?
I have to say, I was an East Elementary kid, so.
There we go.
All right, committee reports.
Business Advisory Council information is linked there. That information is available on the website. That's all that I have.
Any other committee reports? Nope. Very good. Assistant Superintendent report.
So your approval of the QDA and QPA financial reports as usual. Also, you have conflict of interest forms for new Philly. I forgot to give these to you when you took your oath of office, and even the returning people. I need you to fill these out. I need these tonight.
Okay.
These go towards our federal programs. It's something that Mrs. Hall, Lori has to collect for federal programs. So I do need that from you tonight. So this is just new Philly schools. It's not QDA or QPA. This is our current school. So think about employees here. The only other thing here is pretty exciting. Our ELA curriculums are selected. It's been 2 years in the making. We started last year, and when the governor said, hey, you're going to have to pick from a list, we kind of put a pause on it. So, because I didn't want to pick something that wasn't on the list. This is totally teacher directed. When the list came out, the teachers met, went over the list, talked about it in school, gave me 5 or 6 curriculums per building that they wanted to try out. I called and got them samples. They did a really nice job of trying the samples out, collaborating once again, talking about it. We had some building meetings to chat about what they wanted in curriculums. And ultimately, in the end, after meetings and discussions, we're doing wit and wisdom in our K-1 buildings. The emphasis on doing just wit and wisdom there is wit and wisdom wholly, completely 100% syncs with foundations, which is our phonics instruction, and geodes, which is our leveled readers. And our teachers at K1 really were excited about that because some of the other curriculums, you had to take out what they were doing with phonics and foundational skills and implement foundations. Our K1 teachers did not want to do that. They wanted to flow. So their K1's wit and wisdom, 2 through 12 somehow with, I mean, every building, it was unanimous to do into reading, which is HMH. Very excited how that worked out. I didn't expect it to. I thought we might do something 2 through 5 and then 6 through 8, but it worked out. So it's 2 through 12 will now be on the same curriculum, which I'm really excited about. Into reading has a lot of elements of on the online piece and diagnostic that the teachers really liked. They can fit their own novels into the curriculum. There's EL resources, a lot of differentiated pieces for those kids when they do small groups. So what you have here is just kind of I gave you a kind of a write-up on how the process was. You could look that over. If you have questions, let me know. I'll have samples out probably next week. I'll set up a time. We'll by board policy, I believe, dictates that we put it out for a week, and I kind of let the public know if they want to come in and check them out. They can ask me questions, whatnot.
You typically let public know for that, of that?
We'll post it to the website, the social media. That's no problem. I'll do like specific times when I'll be here, and if someone wants to come in and check it out, I'll sit with them. When we did our math curriculum, we had 3 or 4 people pop in and just had some talks. Most of them wanted to make sure that it wasn't racially biased or, you know, the CRT stuff back then was a little bit big, so people wanted to check on that. But for the most part, I think people trust us with our choice, and this is what the teachers wanted. This is literally a teacher's choice. So I'm very excited to get this going and get moving on it. So anyways, we'll do that, and then we'll have a second reading at our next board meeting, and then we can adopt it. There we go.
Great. Do I have a motion to accept the assistant superintendent's report?
So moved.
Mr. Rickick, 1, Mrs. Schrock, 2.
I'd like to just publicly acknowledge the work that Jeff has done with this to be so inclusive of teacher feedback, and then also staying abreast of the changes that are coming down from the state, which are really dictating how we are teaching reading and what resources we use for that. So he led that process from start to finish and continues to lead that process and is doing a great job. So, Jeff.
Great. Excuse me. All right, call the roll.
Mr. Ricklick?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Superintendent's report.
We're going to start with the second reading of an update to the third grade reading guarantee policy. Turning the page, the first reading of our new public participation policy, as recommended by the policy committee. It will have a second reading at our next board meeting before it is adopted. Would like to ask the approval of our preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school handbooks that are all linked there for your review. Asking to approve a non-routine field trip for our speech and debate to attend the national competition. If you remember, we honored some of their work here at our last meeting, and they have a few students who've qualified for the nationals this summer, which are in Iowa, I think, if I remember that correctly. They are self-funding that. And then approve also the class of 2024 list of graduates. I think there might be a name on there you recognize. If I could have a motion for approval.
I will do it.
I'll second.
It's a man a second.
If we don't approve it, his daughter doesn't graduate.
To graduate.
We need to pull her out and take a separate vote.
Maybe he was giving us signals not to, so I'm gonna have to pay for OSU.
Right.
And help a t-shirt for it, apparently. Okay.
Go blue.
Call the roll.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Ms. Fontana?
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Mr. Ricklick?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrock?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Well, can we revisit
So
one
moved.
thing?
Sure.
Yeah, one thing. Back on committees, we did have the Quaker Foundation. And we usually note at this meeting afterwards how much was granted. I believe it was $94,000 and 138 students.
The 85 students,
85 students.
138 scholarships.
Sorry, 138 scholarships, 85 students.
That was an impressive
It's beyond,
event.
yes, it's incredible. It
I,
really is.
watching this community step up for our kids.
It's great. And my daughter got 2 of those, Mr. Gallantyne.
All right.
All right. Anything else?
You get to eat every day this next year.
Yeah, I know. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm gonna move now.
He is.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
That's okay.
What's wrong?
I'll show you later.
Okay. 1. Jen was 1, and who's second?
I'll second there.
Thank you. Okay, call the roll.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Ricklick?
Yes.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Mr. Gallantyne? Yes. Ms. Fontana?
Yes.
Motion carries.